Hello Bits and Bones, my name is Slady B, and welcome to my channel where I review content while I make content and sometimes just talk. As always, this is a splattering of my thoughts in the order in which they come, so I don't do non-spoilers. My reviews and commentaries are meant to explore aspects of an already experienced piece of media and to start a conversation, not to blindly point anyone towards consuming them. As you watch this video, playing in the background is the biggest project I've undertaken so far on my digital tablet. You've seen me go from a line drawing to a cartoon girl with some depth, then I drew a ghoul, and now I'm tackling a genuine painted portrait. I chose to just jump right into this because it suits the content we're talking about and I get to redo an older artwork of mine. When I finished watching the TV show Dexter, which aired from 2006 to 2013, I had some mixed feelings about the conclusion. I'm sure a lot of people did. But in the end, there were still a lot of amazing moments I appreciated, and I wanted to draw the character Deborah, cut on the cheek in the fashion Dexter does to his victims, because by the end of it, she had become the ultimate victim of the series. Poor Deborah. Or, as Dexter says at the end of season 1, dearly damaged Deborah, which comes to fruition over the series, mostly by his hand. Recently, I read Darkly Dreaming Dexter by Jeff Lindsay, which is the novel the show Dexter was based on / inspired by. So really, the opportunity to push myself to get better at drawing by redoing this artwork on the tablet just felt right. So I hope you enjoy watching it come together. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think this one turned out way better than the first attempt that I had 5 years ago. I'll do a side-by-side of the two of them by the end. I'm sorry that I don't have the whole start to finish of the process. I did record it all, but I just can't figure out how to shorten them up properly to a decent length, so the whole middle part got cut and just didn't export. I don't know what's going on, so you get the beginning and the end. Sorry about that. Anyway, with the explanations out of the way, let's talk about Darkly Dreaming Dexter. Darkly Dreaming Dexter was written by Jeff Lindsay and came out in 2004, and the film adaptation, or the TV series, came out 2006. This will be a discussion of the book as a whole, but also devolve into a comparison between the two, because my thesis is that the show was better despite running longer than it probably should have. Where I would normally commentate on the novel and tweak it with suggestions in and of itself, the first season of the show just generally topped it, so that's why we'll be looking at how and why the novel fell so flat comparatively. My first point against the novel is unfortunately and ironically the first page. It is every writer's job to hook the reader with a good opening and to exemplify the tone of the story. As it so happens, Dexter as a character is apparently extremely pretentious. I will read you the first page of Darkly Dreaming Dexter as I read it and understand its punctuation. Moon. Glorious moon. Full, fat, reddish moon. The night as light as day, the moonlight flooding down across the land and bringing joy, joy, joy. Bringing, too, the full-throated call of the tropical night, the soft and wild voice of the wind roaring through the hairs on your arm, the hollow wail of starlight, the teeth-grinding bellow of the moonlight off the water. All calling to the need. Oh, the symphonic shriek of the thousand hiding voices, the cry of the need inside. The entity, the silent watcher, the cold, quiet thing, the one that laughs, the moon dancer. The me that was not me, the thing that mocked and laughed and came calling with its hunger, with the need. And the need was very strong now, very careful, cold, coiled, creeping, crackly, cocked and ready. Very strong, very much ready now, and still it waited and watched, and it made me wait and watch. I had been waiting and watching the priest for 5 weeks now. The need had been prickling and teasing, and prodding at me to find one, find the next, find this priest. For 3 weeks I had known he was it, he was next, he belonged to the dark passenger, he and I together. And that 3 weeks I had spent fighting the pressure, the growing need, rising in me like a great wave that roars up and over the beach, and does not recede, only swells more with every tick of the bright night's clock. So I think we can all agree that this is quite purple prose. We all see it, we all get it. And I'm not knocking the novel strictly because of this. In fact, I continued reading despite the purple prose because it was painting a picture of Dexter's chaotic mind. He's on the hunt and he's hungry and he's not thinking straight. He's thinking in symbols and run-on sentences. I can appreciate that. Very well portrayed. However, my second point against Darkly Dreaming Dexter is that despite all that prose at the start, the character that's initially presented doesn't follow through the novel. Perhaps you could chalk that up to Dexter having to deal with issues he more cares about and makes him more human, but I'd say compared to the show's version of Dexter, this one is characterized as entirely unapologetic, just confused. Where he learns to care about and enjoy other people's presence over others in the show, the book never actualizes Dexter as anything more than a sociopath who simply has Rita as a beard, for example. Dexter in the novel starts very literary and pretentious because that's the characterization it's creating. Dexter is the alpha serial killer killing the other serial killers and never ever going to get caught. As Dexter's story progresses, he starts regressing in a childish way. This can also be accountable to him accessing his past experiences and us trying to understand what made him this way, but it doesn't pan out like that. Dexter should be a calculated and unquestionable force. He doesn't actually sit around and wonder about the possibilities of his actions or feel guilt or remorse for even the people in his life that he likes, and yet he turns into a young adult teenage protagonist eternally going over the possibilities of, what if I'm actually the ice truck killer? What if I did it when I'm sleeping? What if? And we don't get the Dexter response to the situation, where if he truly wasn't wasting readers' time fantasizing about the possibility of having been the ice truck killer while he was somehow unconscious, the character of Dexter should be going over a solution. If I am the killer, how can I know? How should I prevent this? What can I do to prove the point wrong? Dexter never encapsulates the calculating man he's supposed to be through his actions. He just regresses into yet another lost, fumbling protagonist we're meant to be endeared by. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think to myself when I'm trying to come up with a solution for something to tell myself to think, Slady, think harder. And then that's all that happens. No conclusion is ever got from that. And that's basically what Dexter's thought process turns into throughout the book, and it gets pretty annoying. It gets so strangely teenage with the dialogue in Dexter's head for the last half of the novel, where we're hearing his internal monologue. Think, Dexter. Wake up, Dexter. What if? When the only tension in the story is the actions happening around him, we're stuck in his head going in circles with questions we already know the answer to. It's annoying and cyclical for a character who's supposed to be manipulative and efficient. My third and major criticism of the novel is the ending. It ruined the whole thing for me, personally. Not the actual ending, but the epilogue. I include epilogues and prologues as the story itself because the author cared enough to add them as a part of canonical story itself. And this epilogue was so underdeveloped that it left me reeling. So if any of you are fans of the show but haven't read the book, I'm sure you're wondering, how do we actually end the novel? At what point does the source material stop? In the ending of Darkly Dreaming Dexter, Dexter's nearly identical older brother has captured Deborah, Dexter's adopted sister, and proposes that he and Dexter kill her together as a starting over sort of bonding experience between serial killer siblings. Dexter hesitates, his brother takes control of the knife, and it goes to end Deborah's life himself. We end on the lines, "My brother looked at me. Too bad," he said. "I'm so disappointed." And the knife came down. Period. End. A great cliffhanger and an ambiguous ending. But then we cut to an epilogue that's 1.5 pages long and asks more questions than it answers. The epilogue is Dexter and Deborah standing at LaGuerta's funeral. Deborah got a promotion, Dexter wonders about his brother who is apparently still at large after the fiasco, and Deborah is treating Dexter completely normally. How do you cut to an epilogue like that? How are readers supposed to understand how they got so rapidly from point A to point B with no explanation when you gave them a cliffhanger ending? The knife was coming down. The implication was that Dexter had to choose, that severe consequences were collapsing, and then we get this moment where everything is fine. How did his brother agree to let Deborah go? Was there a fight between them to stop the knife, and did it in turn end with Dexter winning? We have to assume that, but that absolutely gives us no satisfaction from that climactic moment that we'd been left at. And what about Deborah? She has no suspicions or mixed feelings about Dexter now? This is where I chime in and point out not just that the show was better, but why. The first season of Dexter, aside from LaGuerta dying, which they repurposed thematically several seasons later, is the events in the book. More or less, the theme is the ice truck killer and Dexter's past coming to present. What the show supplies, aside from more character development all around, because it has more of an opportunity for it, is a fulfilling conclusion. Season 1 doesn't end on a cliffhanger or rush to tie up loose ends. It ends with Dexter having to make a choice. Which sibling will have his knife brought down upon them because they can't fundamentally coexist? Dexter has to choose what family he values, and Rudy isn't some inevitable factor allowed to run off in the background for the sake of tension or mystery. And having to watch Dexter make that choice was extremely fulfilling as a fan, because that's everything that we've been working toward, isn't it? Dexter is the serial killer of serial killers, the emotionless good guy, developing enough to choose what really matters to him as a person for the first time in his life. It's great. And the novel just completely omitted its own climax, denying Dexter the decision, avoiding it, really. I see why Darkly Dreaming Dexter was chosen to be made into a show, because there are a lot of compelling elements to it. At times, I really liked the descriptive prose, and the show actually uses quite a few of the best paraphrased quotes from the book as narration. I think the side characters were unique and impactful, especially Mizuka, but the story and character of Dexter as a whole really benefited from how film could present it. Hindsight helped a lot. It turned Deborah from the book, who's a needy wannabe detective that does nothing to earn her own way, and only functions on Dexter's ideas and swears to the point it is tedious to read, into a lovable, endearing character that only the actress Jennifer Carpenter could truly bring to life. Dexter lost himself as a character in the book and found himself in the show. I only gave the book Darkly Dreaming Dexter a 2 out of 5. But I gave the first season of the show Dexter a 5 out of 5 comparatively. By all means, read the book if you're a fan of the franchise and want to support its source content, but I'd say watching the show is your best option to get the most refined essence of what Dexter was meant to be. And now that we're at the end of the video, here's the comparison of the two artworks and portraits I did of the character Deborah. I'm really happy with the outcome. I just wish that I could get faster, because I have no idea how many hours I spent not just not knowing how to work Photoshop properly, but also generally just trying to do a better portrait than I've ever done before. And I hope that comes across. I definitely hope that there is visible improvement. Or what am I doing? If you would like to support me and my content, I would truly, truly appreciate it. Or just, with interacting with this video, obviously. But I also have my Patreon linked in the description below, as well as other one-off sites if you want to just tip. I would really appreciate it. It would really help me out self-esteem wise, mostly, but also give me more incentive to continue progressing and trying to learn and improving, so that one day maybe, possibly, I could do this as some kind of job. Just hopeful little wishes there. If you have seen either Dexter the show or read Darkly Dreaming Dexter and not done either of the other ones, let me know how you feel about the comparison that I made between the two and how you would have felt about the changes that they made. And if you've done both like me, let me know how you felt about them. Like, do you feel like the show was better, or did you really, really love Dexter's interpretation in the book? Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!